Okay, are we back? Are we on? Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Usually people don't come. They're afraid of me. For some reason. My god, ever since I shaved my head, and yes, I did that because I don't know when the government plans to lock me in the house again, so I'm like, you know what? Now that I have an opportunity to get a haircut, I'll get it for an entire year. And everyone is looking at me funny. It's like, oh my god, your hair is gone. Yeah, it is. It's kind of weird. Uh, they think like I'm from the Make a Wish Foundation or something, and everyone is calling me an egg. Like egg, egg, egg. I actually told Devin Tracy that I now know how it feels. I share his pain, and he told me one of us. It's very bizarre. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like people should notice me for what's inside. They shouldn't notice my appearance. They objectify me. I swear to God, they objectify me ever since I shaved my head. My wife likes it actually, surprisingly, and she keeps like I feel like a black woman now, cause like you get a lot of black women in the media saying I hate it when someone wants to touch my hair, and I'm like, when does that happen? And now that I shaved, like literally everyone wants to touch it, and I get the feeling it's like, oh my god, so this is how it's like. I am now into the person's shoes. I suffer the plight. Horrible. Don't ever do it. But on the other hand, I have managed to capture 3 mice in my house with traps. Like I have a mice problem. I want to leave them alone, but they don't want to leave me alone. Apparently, they can chew through electric cables and bring diseases. So I placed the mouse traps, the ones with glue, because those are the only ones that I have and I can buy here. And I keep giving them to my wife to figure out what to do with them. I wanted to buy a terrarium and like put all the mice in a terrarium. Like I don't want to hurt them, but I just want to show you something else. That speaking of like mice and whatnot. So, give me a second. There's this guy which actually did it. And I looked like how you can do it on YouTube. Apparently there's tutorials on how to free the mice, but this one gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like this one was actually horror inducing. So we're going to watch it in a bit. Like you get to see this guy. He has managed to capture one, right? And as you can see, like the mouse is stuck a lot bigger than the ones that I have, right? So he manages to free it. Uses oil apparently. You can do that. And the mouse went free, and look what it did. So let's go to the part where the mouse actually escapes. It's almost free now. Let's listen to that again. Like the sound is. Like, what the fuck did he thought was going to happen? Did he thought that the mouse is going to fly to Valhalla? Did he thought that it's going to go out in the wild and be free? That is his home. That is, like, you took the mouse out of its home. It's where the mouse was born. Okay, it was born there, and you took it out. It's going to go back inside. Yeah. It did not choose to fly to Valhalla. The Valkyries didn't come. Does make me sad as well. What can I? Yeah. What did you think would happen? But not to mention, like, at least if you're going to do that, go next to your neighbor's house. go somewhere far away so it's someone else's problem. Yeah. I should bleach them first. What the hell? Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, I didn't come to talk about mice. I came to talk about other things that I didn't cover in this week of stupid. Imagine like sipping your morning coffee, and then you read this, and you're like, yeah, because it's like the title. It hits you. Look at this. Germany apologizes after deleting Israel off the map. Germany did what? Couldn't it start with Poland? Like, it's a classic. Like, you start with Poland first. Why would it go for... Germany has been forced to apologize. I love the fact that they're forced, right? Like, it's not that they wanted to... No. they have been constrained to apologize after erasing Israel off a map published as a part of a military report. I kind of think like maybe they didn't care about it in the military report. I don't know. What did they replace it with? Did they replace it with Palestine or something? How did they release it off the map? Like there's a lot of other. Oh my god, this looks to be as them just complaining. Like this is also erased from the map. This is erased from the map. I mean, I think China, is also. I'm not good with geography. I don't know where Israel is supposed to be, but anyway, so apparently, Germany has been forced to apologize. The head of the military counterintelligence service, known as MAD, has apologized, claiming that the initial draft of its 2019 report displayed Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories in the same colors as Jordan. MAD spokesperson, well, maybe Jordan conquered both Israel and Palestine and thus solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, according to Germany. Who knows? The MAD spokesperson, Peter Weyer, explained in the first version of the MAD report a mistake was made. Bundeswehr operational areas with MAD participation. When graphically editing the Jordan area of operation, Israel was also accidentally colored, subsequently covered. I mean, I guess, but it's so weird that this is now primetime news. I mean, did they do it with malice? Anyone would figure out it's a mistake. It's just the time we live in, Like, you can't just let one pass, no. And now the entire German government has to apologize for this. So there are cases where the German Gestapo broke into people's homes and confiscated computers because they posted something edgy online. Yeah, the German government is not going to apologize about that, but this, oh my god, major international scandal. Yes, of course, why not? As if it's the same Germany that existed 100 years ago. Germany has 7 million Turks. Well, good for them. Good for them. I hear they're healthy for the economy. They removed it because they don't operate there. Yeah, probably. I don't even know. It's obviously a mistake. I mean, come on. It's not done on purpose. Like, if it was done on purpose, I would have understood. But now intent doesn't matter. As long as it exists and someone is offended, then it's a crime. It's a map of the future. Is the territory like... what about Israel has conquered Palestine and Jordan? And maybe that is why it's the same color. It's a map of the future, like someone points out. Yes. Look at this. Speaking of the Turks. This is absolutely beautiful. We got United Colors of Benetton sells unisex hijab. Italian fashion brand launches a range of Muslim headwear in a variety of colors that can be worn by men or women. So, this shows a clear lack of understanding of Islam. Where is Abdi Muhammad? Abdi, are you in the chat? What does Islam say? Here's the thing. And this is why... what they don't get. There was actually a video with a couple of far-right agitators, and they were men, and they dressed in burqa, and they went into a Muslim neighborhood. And of course they got assaulted. Because the Muslims viewed this as mocking their religion. They viewed this as encroaching on their religion. The reason women wear hijab in the Muslim world is for two reasons, actually. The first one is to show piety and humility in front of Allah. It is very similar to why Orthodox Christians, they have the same rule when a woman enters church. The babushka, right? Like the babushka in Romania, she has like the scarf whenever she enters the church. She would not enter church without it. It's the idea that you're showing humility. Because a woman's hair is viewed as not necessarily like arousing or alluring, but it's like the one of the most important things of femininity, especially back in the day. But I would say even today, like if you come into Eastern Europe, like women are very proud of their hair. And covering that up is considered humility, being humble. So, kind of funny why social justice activist women shave their hair. It's also like being humble. But as I was saying, right, like it's the same thing in Islam, only it applies outside of church. So that is the hijab. The burqa, however, is the feminist answer, I suppose, to rape culture. Because here in the West, right, the onus is on men. Like, don't say rape jokes. Don't manspread. Don't do this. Don't do that, right? In Islam, however, the idea is to avoid the male gaze. You're going to dress all the way up, and you're going to look exactly like any other woman. And you're going to have like this uniform, this thing which completely removes anything that a man might look at and get the male gaze going. So this has nothing to do with any, right? Like, you're not showing piety in front of God if you're a man and you're wearing this, because like the man's hair isn't really that important. Like, women do like it, but it's not. Like, if a man shaves his head, he can still get women. If a woman shaves her head, yeah, good luck with that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but let's be honest. Just do this experiment, I guess. You know, take a woman, put her on any dating website where you get a score, and let's say she has beautiful hair, and see what score she gets, and then shave her hair, make another account, and see what score she gets. Like, I guarantee to you, like, I'm a master at stereotyping. If stereotyping is wrong, why am I always so right? Meanwhile, you can do the same with a man, by the way. Like, take a man and see what score he gets on a dating website and then shave his hair. It doesn't show humility for men doing this. There is no humility. It's just like, it's weird. What the fuck are you doing? I'm really curious, like, how many men are going to buy this. Like, legit curious if this is actually going to sell. But maybe I'll be able to find out Abdi Muhammad's address, and I'll buy one for Christmas to him. I'm really upset Abdi isn't in the chat. Maybe he is in the chat. He is. Yeah, I'll buy him one. Just give me your address and I'll ship you one. I know you don't celebrate Christmas because you're a heathen, but maybe you can appreciate the Christmas spirit coming from a friend, and I'll buy you one of those. What do you say? I've been watching some Romanian comedy lately. Remember Lana and Costello? You could make a show like that in America. Yeah, and get cancelled, of course. Yes, I could. Where is Abdi Muhammad when you did them? My God. Do I have any other Muslim in the chat? Like, what? Is Abdi Muhammad the only Muslim here? Come on. Murhaban Bik. Is there anyone that I can salam alaikum and not feel like I'm culturally appropriating? Can I salam alaikum anyone in the chat? I used to actually have a Patreon that was from Saudi Arabia. He was giving me money. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting that sweet oil cash. That is so cool. It's a Christian channel. No, I think it's an atheist channel. You know what? Like, let's do a polling about while we're at it. What is your belief? Christian, atheist, add option, Islam, and add the other option, author. Let's see. See what my community has to say about it. Yeah, I do like diversity in the chat. Fuck is wrong with you? Go to a mosque. He is giving me money, it's true. But you're not giving me as much as the Saudi guy. I'm sorry to say this. I mean, you are rich, but not that rich. I still want to buy you that unisex. In case you haven't watched the screen, Abdi Muhammad, I want to buy you this. What do you think, huh? Would you wear it? Would you wear it proudly? What is this logo? Anyway, it's like a GX? What? So weird. Right. Maybe I should look in the chat. Wow. So 36% Christians. What the fuck is other? What? If you pressed other, what exactly are you? Buddhist? What is else? Oh, Jewish. Jewish. I forgot to add Jewish. My God. I did the German. I did the German. What my first news was about. Not convinced. I thought that the ugly dress. So 4% are people from Islam. Okay, so Abdi Muhammad, you got the brotherhood going on. You got your brothers. You can be proud that my channel is filled with diversity. All right. Let's listen to this wonderful lady from MSLSD. By the way, remember when we're not going to give a platform to bigots? We're not going to platform hate? Okay, let's listen to love now. What the fuck is this? Holy crap. What is this? What is this? Just how did it come to be? Look at her, like resistance. Oh, yes, resistance. Very luxurious house though, I gotta say. It looks massive. What is this? It's just a creepy art. Can you imagine, like, this art? Like, you can actually use it in a spooky video game. Like, you go into a mansion at night and it's raining and you have, like, pictures like this on the walls. It would create the perfect atmosphere.
The Republican Party, for a while now, has been tacitly encouraging and rationalizing violence. You can go all the way.
I mean, yes, the summer of love in the United States, encouraged by the Republican Party. Yes, defunding the police, encouraged by... Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the 2016 campaign.
By the way, like, here's one more thing that I noticed. I mean, she's talking about encouraging violence, right? Like, something really scary. Look how she's smiling. Like, why is it that when these people, and by I mean these people, the ones that appear on television... the ones that appear on television, they're always talking about grim shit, but they're smiling. They're so happy about it. Am I the only one who notices this? Like, when I see a person that's concerned, this is not the expression that I see. Like, and it's a genuine smile, because, like, they're smiling with their eyes as well. Usually when a person is fake smiling or, like, uncomfortable smile, seriously, like, you should check this out. If they're only smiling with their mouth, like if you cover the mouth and you look at the eyes and you don't see happiness, then they're fake smiling. But if they're smiling like this is a smile there. They're so excited. It's like, yes, Republicans are encouraging. What the fuck is wrong with you? If you generally believe that.
The Republican Party, for a while now, has been tacitly encouraging and rationalizing violence.
At least, you know, it's like not like Maxine Waters. It's like, when you see them, form a crowd and go after them. You know, it's like, okay, calm down, Maxine. Yes, I guess like the Republican Party doesn't have their own Maxine Waters. Honestly, if I was part of the Republican Party, I would just take Maxine Waters' quotes and I would just show them and not say anything and put a picture of her. It's like, okay, the left thinks this is okay. Who are we to disagree?
You can go all the way back to the 2016 campaign when Donald Trump was out there encouraging his
Look at her smiling.
supporters to slug hecklers and critics, all the way through his presidency when he would joke to police officers about allowing them to rough up suspects. And that continued all the way through January 6th to the point where now virtually the entire Republican Party is whitewashing that affair, trying to...
By the way, let me show you something about whitewashing, right? Just a little bit about roughhousing and blah blah blah. In case you don't remember, the internet is forever. Unfortunately, the internet is forever. Do you guys remember this? Because I remember this. Maybe it's because it's part of my job to look at the news, so I kind of remember this. But do you know that in Brooklyn Center you had the National Guard deployed with loaded rifles, arresting people at gunpoint, took facial scans and pictures of all the journalists there? Did you remember that? Look it up. It happened. Oh yeah, but it's under Biden, so it was because people were breaking curfew. So that's okay. Like that is not something we're going to discuss. You only hear the echo from my microphone? Good, that's the only thing you deserve. I'll raise the volume a little bit so I can hear the echo louder. Stop complaining.
Downplay it. And now you have not only Gossard, but people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, other people who use violent imagery,
By the way, just to remind people, violent imagery was a trailer from Attack on Titan that was photoshopped. So it appeared that some GOP boomer was attacking Biden the Titan. And they're afraid. They're afraid. Oh, we're so afraid. We're like little rabbits. Ah, we're afraid. Violence on Twitter. Oh my God. Oh my God. How can they rule a nation if a Photoshop trailer frightens them so? Like, what if China goes boo? And they're going to go, ah, China scares us. Oh, we're so afraid. Oh, please, China, don't do anything bad. We'll allow you to do anything. Just take over Taiwan. Just do whatever you want. But please, China, stop threatening us on Twitter. I don't understand, man. Like, how can the American people respect leaders that are so weak that they are frightened by an Attack on Titan trailer? Now, I know they're pretending, all right? I know they're pretending and that they're legitimately not afraid, but they know they can leverage the image that they're being afraid to their advantage. But why isn't the right doing the same? It's like, okay, you're afraid of an Attack on Titan trailer. How can you rule a nation then? What if, like, something actually bad, like a foreign nation threatens you? If you're so afraid, maybe you should stay home where it's safe. Maybe stay home and relax, calm down, little bunny. You need stronger people to rule the nation that aren't so easily afraid. You think Putin is afraid of an Attack on Titan trailer? No! Okay, we need men like that. Or strong women. I didn't hear Major Taylor Greene complaining. And by the way, you know, like the left has the Caitlyn Griffin, where she has the beheaded head of a Donald Trump replica. And it's not only that, like what I find fascinating, and no one brings it up, when Katie Griffin had that little art piece where she decapitated the US president, and she isn't threatening the president. She's looking at the camera. She's looking at you. Like, you are the one that she's coming up. Like, she's trying to intimidate you because you voted incorrectly. You're the problem. Like, in that scenario, the US president has already been dealt with.
Intimate that violence is going to result if they don't have elections that go their way. We have an explosion of threats and intimidation directed.
Look at her. She's intimidated.
And local officials, both school board and voting officials.
Yeah, by the way, the school boards. I heard that the mothers, oh my God, they're so dangerous. Did you know that the local police can't handle it anymore? Like, they needed to call the FBI. I can't think of anything more scary than a US mom. Yes, like the mothers. The mothers are so dangerous that the local authorities can't handle them.
And when the Attorney General of the United States says he intends to investigate it, you have an absolute temper tantrum from members of the Republican Senate.
Yeah, I mean, yes, calling mothers terrorists. I wonder why they have a temper tantrum over that. Sometimes, you know, this is how I make This Week is Stupid. Like, I have to pause every now and then and just, you know, soak it in. Like, wondering, like, how would it go in my nation if the government would call mothers, all right? Like, we're not even talking about some fringe extremists. No, mothers, like all of them. How would the government, how would people react if the government would say, you know what, mothers, yes, if you go to school and you don't like what is being taught there, you're a terrorist. And we need to get, I don't know, the masked ones. Just so you can understand who the masked ones are in Romania. This is what we call them. It's a little bit more powerful than the average. Okay, these are the masked ones, right? So we need the masked ones in order to protect the teachers from from the evil parents. Yes. I mean, dude, I don't know, what can I say. How do they think this is a winning strategy is beyond me, because I have seen parents that are concerned, and some of them were left-leaning, some of them were right-leaning. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's on even the same political aisle, but you're literally trying to scare them off. It's like, if you complain to a school board, you might be on an FBI watch list. Police Speciala Forces. So the masked ones is actually broad term, and you have like many different sections of the police. Like some of them deal with drugs, some of them deal with hostage situations. Some of them like even so you have like a couple of mass ones that, like, for example, if the street cops can't handle a problem, because in Romania there are cops that don't actually have a gun at them. So let's say like they usually beat a criminal that resists arrest. They're not going to chase them. They're just going to call the mass ones. And usually like cops, the beat cops, they have like rubber batons which leave bruises if you're hit with them. The masked ones have iron batons which break bones. So you don't want to fuck with them. But it's kind of like that, you know, like saying, yeah, we need to call the masked ones in order to fix the parrots. Like, what the fuck? They don't realize that lifelong Democrats are voting against them. Well, you know, I mean, right now, the borders are way open. And I understand, like, they're busing people around all over the United States. And there was, like, that very interesting interview, which for some reason you don't have the media talk about. But there was, like, this Democrat, which I believe didn't want to vote for the Build Back Better bill. And she was left-leaning. She was a moderate. And she was being harassed by progressives in the bathroom, right? And at one point, one of them, which said she's an immigrant, and this is her words, not mine, she's saying, we voted for you. And she also says she's illegal, right? Because she can't go back to Mexico because her grandmother is sick, but if she goes back to Mexico, she can't come back to the United States. And she says, we voted for you. I'm like, very interesting, you know? Confession of a crime. But moving afterwards, that's not the main problem. Like, she actually says, even if you would say, all right, well, maybe she made it up, figure of speech or whatever. She actually says, we went knocking doors for you. So basically, like, the illegal immigrants are doing activism for the Democratic Party, right? Because knocking on doors is actually time-consuming, but it's very important if you want to win elections. So even if the illegal immigrants don't vote, which I'm sure they don't, they can still do activism. Like, they can hound senators into the bathroom. They can form crowds and do protesting on the street. They can knock on doors. They can send flyers. They can do all sorts of things. Like, the simple act of voting isn't the only part of democracy. You also need to get the message across. You also need to do activism. You also need to sometimes actually talk with the politician and go there and pressure them to do things. So maybe they're banking on that. Maybe they just don't give a fuck anymore. Maybe they're like, okay, well, you know, we're going to rig the electorate. If you can't just play the system fair, let's do electorate gerrymandering. Like, just change the electorate until we get someone that likes us. Like, if you keep bringing new people in, they're not going to punish you for the way you previously governed. They don't care because they're just new. So they're probably just getting into politics and they have no idea. So by bringing new people in, you're never going to be held accountable for the bad things you're doing. She said that we knocked on doors for you, not voted for you. Okay, all right, but even then, okay, Abdi, you're right. You know, maybe I'm wrong, but still, knocking on doors, it's very important. Have you knocked on a single door in your life? Because I haven't. Well, I mean, knocking for political reasons. Probably very difficult to do, you know, it's kind of embarrassing as well, like knocking on a door in order to talk about some politician while the guy's at the table. Anyway, right, if you like this, I need to e-bag now, very important. If I don't ask, I don't get. If you like this show, don't forget to share it around social media, muy importante. And also, I would appreciate if you contribute. If you like it, send in a super chat and I'll use it to buy Christmas gifts for my parents and my wife. By the way, I noticed something interesting from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson pointed out to a fascinating thing which blew my mind open because it applies in my country as well. Did you notice that the prices for everything are rising? So I noticed this with my parents, which, by the way, are pretty well off. I mean, I don't think that my parents are poor. But they're pointing out that, like, look, we don't have money to pay for everything now. Like, they used to be able to pay from month to month. And I'm talking about expenses like rent, gas, heating, you know, all the stuff, food, groceries. And they would be able to pay from one month to the next and still have some money on the side And every once in a while, they would be very cheeky and take a holiday someplace in the country. Like they wouldn't go to another nation. But now they're saying it's like they're struggling. Like when the next wage comes, they're already on small debt. Like they have to borrow money either from me or from some other people. And when the next wage comes, they're on minus. And I'm thinking, okay, things are getting bad, aren't they? Because I noticed as well, like when I go shopping and other things, it's like, all right. And then you look at the gas price and you look at the inflation and whatnot. And yeah, like the gas prices are really up, aren't they? And Tucker Carlson points out that there's two types of people. The people that care about the gas prices and the people that don't. And I gotta say, it's absolutely 100% correct. If you look at it, the people who don't care about the gas prices are usually the type of people that a society can run without. So you're talking about politicians, journalists, lawyers, bourgeois, middle class, HR people. And then you look at the people that do care that the gas prices are going up. And these are the people that you literally cannot run a society without. Truckers, builders, plumbers, the actual people that keep the lights going, like literally. Without them, you'd be back into the dark ages, because without them, there would be no electricians to keep the lights going. Fascinating. It is a matter of culture. And I'm really interested. It's like the first group of people that are paid way more than they deserve for the contributions that they're doing. They only care about social issues. They're, oh yes, gay rights. We care about them. I'm not saying it's not a noble thing to care about gay rights, but I think the gas prices affect the gays and everyone else. I think even the gays can benefit if the gas prices are going to go a little bit lower. Correct me if I'm wrong, all right? Like, do I have any homosexuals in the chat? And if I do, please tell me, would you like the gas prices to go down? Because I think you would. So, can we focus on the issues that affect everyone? Like, the important ones, the critical ones. Like, let's focus on the critical issues first. And after the critical issues are dealt with, then we can move to the more minute, and we can iron the kinks on what's left. It has to go a lot worse before it gets a lot better. I don't know, like, for some reason, the first group of people that don't care about the gas prices, they don't even connect the dots. Like, they don't even understand why the gas prices are. It's a mystery for them. They literally don't know. Like, they're utterly baffled. And I'm trying to tell them, like, maybe there are some political reasons. Like, maybe something happened in 2019 and 2020 which got the gas prices to go up. And you look at them and it's nothing. It's just like, these are the type of people that believe electricity is the shit that comes from the walls. Like, there's no conversation to be had there. Unless they see a guy on television explaining to them why the gas prices are going up, they have absolutely no clue. You talked about Belarus? No, I haven't talked about Belarus, and honestly, I don't know. What I do know is that the president of Belarus is saying that if people get cheeky, he's going to cut the gas because he is warming Europe. And I think he's kind of right with that. I think it's a little bit bad that we don't have nuclear power so we can become energy independent. Especially in the age where nuclear isn't that problematic as it used to be. But until we get gas from the Russians, yeah, we need to suck Belarus's cock. Because Belarus is absolutely right. If they say that they're hitting Europe, yeah, there's not much you can do about it. You don't understand. Eastern Europe, Poland included, gets very, very cold during the winter. So cold that if you were to cut the gas, people would die. Not just a couple, many, especially from the cities. There is no solution for this. We used to warm ourselves up using firewood. Now, you like even if, let's assume that I would have the wood available to warm myself during winter. There is absolutely no way for me to use it because I don't have a fireplace. Like the houses are now built so that you heat yourself using either gas or electricity, and it comes from Russia. So what can you do about it? Thank you so much, Alcoholic Apologist. I remember my grandma talking about her parents being afraid to change the light bulb because they were afraid the electricity would fall out. Man, like I remember my grandma when changing a light bulb first, she would cut power to the house. I'm not kidding. Okay, so the power grid to the house, she would flip it off. Actually, she wouldn't flip it. Like back then, you had a thing that you screwed in. So she would take that out, and after the house was depowered, she would all even flip the switch to off, and then she would change the light bulb. It was a ritual. You never know. Why are you laughing, Gabrielle? Shut the fuck up. Don't tell me your grandmother was smarter. I will not believe it. Imagine laughing at my grandmother. God rest her soul. Why is there no pipeline from Russia to Finland and Denmark? Why the fuck do you think I know? Do you think I have all the questions? No, I don't. There's no pipeline. Older electrical systems would short out easily. Yeah, the fuses would constantly break. And what would happen is like, oh, a fuse broke, so you had to buy another one. Now it's just a switch. And if there's a power outage, like the switch just goes down and you have to flip it back up again. By the way, can you guys tell me what the fuck is this guy trading for? Whoa, no sound. What is he doing? Look at this. By the way, if you hold one of these, which I don't know how heavy they are, but if you hold one of these and you trip, because I always am afraid of... And by the way, I think this is the most bourgeois thing ever imagined. Like, can anyone tell me the advantage of walking on this rather than just walking on the street? I mean, you can literally go on the street and you can walk. Why do you need these things? Why? Wasted money. Like, I even understand the bicycles more. Because the thing with the bicycles is that I don't know how to ride a bike. I never had my father hold my tushy riding a bike, okay? Like, it never happened. So, I can't ride the bike, so I can get on these and it's magish. It's magical. I get to move my feet in a circular motion. Why would you want these? Like, what is the advantage of these? It's literally no advantage whatsoever. Like, you can invest money in a different machine. Why would you get these? Don't. My God. Even bottled water has a purpose. That one doesn't have anything. To avoid bad weather. Okay, how many times do you go to the gym and it's stormy outside? I mean, okay, I'm pretty sure it happens once or twice. But unless you live in Britain, get the fuck out. To avoid getting mugged. I mean, okay, fine, that's a good reason. But we're not talking that these things exist only in bad neighborhoods. You don't understand the use of a gym? Yes, I understand the use of a gym. I don't understand the use of that gym equipment. When you go to the gym and there's many equipment that you can do, like lifting weights and working on your legs and stuff, but like that, you can literally do without paying money. You can just go outside and jog. You can literally jog. In winter, yes. But people use them during the summer. It's easier on your joints than running on concrete. Stop making excuses, alright? Just making excuses at this point. You are treadmill apologists, all of you. All of you in the chat. Every single one of you. Every 272 concurrent viewers that I have in the chat, and one just left because I shamed them. Shame on you. You are treadmill apologists. Easier on the joints. Bourgeois this, bourgeois that. You know what's really bourgeois? Talking about the bourgeois all day. I hate myself too, Tactical Droid. I hate myself too. Bourgeois people. Ugh. You know what, Tactical Droid? I hate your bourgeois ass as well. Can't believe this thing. All the problems are coming from the bourgeois. Be a working class, Tactical Droid. I'm going to be an IT specialist. I'm going to do clickety-clack at the keyboard. Go build some bricks. Yes, build the bricks. Someone has to. Probably a Chinese man, because they're probably imported. But still. Honestly. The defender of the bourgeois. What are you going to do? An advocacy group for them? I'm going to start the bourgeois advocacy group? and sue me for hate speech against the bourgeoisie class? Huh? You're going to call me a classist? Is that what you're going to do, Tactical Droid? Look me in the eye and call me a classist? Go fuck yourself. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. RB79 ball, you're right. I wore out the treadmill watching the 2016 Republican Trayvon the Vulture. Alright. The working class is garbage class, yes, but without it you would be literally inundated by the garbage. Didn't they have that in New York? Like, didn't you have like the garbage collectors deciding to strike? And now everyone's like, there's so much garbage, oh my god. By the way, you don't appreciate garbage like when you live at the house. So for the first time ever, I start to understand just how bad garbage is. Because when you're in the city, you have like these garbage dumps that Antifa loves to set on fire. But you just go out and you put the garbage there and that's it. You know, you can do it whenever you want. Okay, when you live in a house, that's not the problem. You need to buy one of these things. Hey, let me show you the atrocity that I had to buy, alright? So for the first time in my life, I had to understand the pain of this shit. So, it's next to your house and it stinks, alright? It's not like when you live in an apartment and you go down and you have to walk a little bit and there's like this thing, which is the holy grail of garbage, and you just dump the garbage and you forget about it. No. You need one of this, and it needs to be next to your house. And you have rats that are going to try to break it in, like chewing it. And you have dogs that try to tip it over. Okay, so now it's a war on intelligence. Like, you need to figure out how to get it to stick. But the main problem with this is like the garbage man comes once a week. Alright? And if you forget to take out the garbage, like you need to get this one in front of the neighborhood where I live, for example. I mean, I need to drag it at like 20 meters or probably more actually. And I need to drag it all the way in front of the gate. And if I forget to do that shit, I'm stuck with it. Okay? Like, I didn't experience this problem with this. Like, this was fixing by itself. No, like this. You need a horrible. Alright? And that's when you start appreciating the garbage man. Like, the garbage man is someone that Jesus Christ sends from the heaven in order to fix your problem. I have never had much more appreciation for the garbage man than when I did start to live at a house. Trust me. If I was to start a new society from scratch, it's like, first thing is like, alright, let's figure out who does the garbage. Before roads, before everything, it's like, no, the garbage... We need someone to do the garbage. Super chat. Whatever happened to Jeez the Eunuch? I don't know. I haven't seen them in a while. Oh, by the way. Okay, someone like use garbage bags. Of course I use garbage bags. Why would I throw my food? That's not the problem. There's another problem, right? The garbage man in Romania is aware. I need to have 2 of these. I'm not kidding. Like, there's 2 of them. One of them is for plastic, and another one is for waste disposal. And the plastic gets taken every Friday. The waste disposal gets taken every Saturday. Woe unto the person who mixes the garbage, and woe unto the person that brings the plastic during the waste disposal, and vice versa. They're very anal about it. I swear to God, like once I tried to sneak in a plastic at the bottom of the waste one. They knew, and I found my trash can tipped over, like it was a sign. They let me know that the gods of the trash were displeased. Get on Stitch and Adam. They talked about having you. Well, they didn't talk with me. How am I supposed to know? I am on the Twitter. If they DM me, I will happily go on. Garbage bags are haram, according to the hadith of Prophet. The hadith of Prophet Greta. Yes, I'm actually going to use that. Yeah, how did they know. It's like it's almost like they actually go through the garbage. Like I thought they just take it and dump it into the fucking car, but no. Maybe the car spits it out. I don't know. It's a mystery. It's just like the electricity. It comes from the walls. I'm not going to be auto-deleting the stream if I get a super chat. See, I need to blackmail the chat. I don't have the vaccine mandates, but I have the super chat mandates. I'm going to blackmail people. Stish loves me. I love Stish too. What is authoritarian agent doesn't like Stitch and Adams, and I noticed why, by the way. So there's like this a reasonable expectation that people have that if you bitch and whine about something, then at least you do the thing yourself properly, right? So, for example, if I'm in my house and I bitch and whine about putting an empty can of milk back into the fridge, can you imagine the horror, like putting the milk can empty in the fridge? Like, who does that? Well, what type of monster does it, right? So I would, complain to my wife and children. I would be like, God damn it, can you guys please, for the love of God, stop putting the empty can of milk back into the fridge? Can we stop doing that? Now imagine if I was the one that after complaining, I would put the empty can of milk back into the fridge. What do you think my family would say? Would they bring that up? Yes, they would. So academic agent is upset that Stitch and Adams points out, like, okay, the things you're advocating for, you're not doing it yourself. And it's like, oh, no, that is a leftist tactic. No, I think it's a human tactic. Like, everyone expects that if you complain about something, you at least try to emulate the behavior. Like, people complain about environmentalists because they don't live up to the standards. It's not a leftist tactic. It's a human tactic. Everyone does it. If a priest comes up to me and talks to me about the sanctity of marriage, and then I find out that he lives in a whorehouse, I might have something to say about it. Shut the fuck up with the milk cans. I don't, whatever do you call the milk packets or whatever, like the cardboard, the milk cardboard. Fuck. The one with missing children on it. That's what I'm talking about. If you put the missing children without milk back into the fridge, then that's a problem. Thank you, Donatello. Have some Dolly Rose, mate. Why, thank you, Menta, but you already gave me enough. I need to give buyer's remorse to other people now. Thank you, Castagno. Appreciate it. Sick. Go on Stitch. I don't even know how to contact these people. Ask them to DM me and I will. It's all they have to do. I'm like Jesus. You need to make 99. You need to make one step towards him and he will make 99 steps towards you. Milk carton. Okay, the carton. The one with the missing kids. Do you still have missing kids on them, by the way? Or is that like an American tradition? Did they found any of those kids? Like that's another thing that I'm thinking. It's like, okay, so you get the carton with the missing kids, right? Like every time you buy milk, you realize there is sadness in the world. Like someone is missing their child. That is one of the most horrible and fucked up things ever. So anyway, like you buy milk and you see the face of the missing kid. Do you even have like the memory to remember that kid is missing? So if you see him on the street, you're like, it's the kid on the cardboard. I really don't think that actually works, to be honest. Maybe like missing cats. That probably wouldn't work either. The milk carton was a threat to train children. What, like the stranger danger type of thing? By the way, Google stranger attacks person. Google that. And then tell me if you notice something interesting. Stranger attacks person. And then look at the stranger and see if you notice some similarities between the strangers. Yeah, I'm actually curious if you can see it on Google. Hold on. Google. Stranger attacks. Just stranger attacks person. Let's see. Oh no, they kind of changed it. They changed the news, but it was a couple of news segments that came up in a week, and I put them next to each other, and I was like the CIA agent, like trying to find the pattern, and I immediately saw it. Was a very dangerous pattern that you can't notice it, but it was there. Let's put it like that. The word stranger was catching a different meaning. Person attacks stranger in revenge attack. Wait, hold on a little bit. Like, how can a person attack a stranger in a revenge attack? Like, if you want revenge, you know the person, therefore they're not a stranger anymore. I will check the DM of Abdi Muhammad now. We got Stitch. It's hold on. I had one more news that I should have covered, and I think I remember. Yes, the Pfizer. Did you know that corporations now can meme? Did you know that corporations, okay, not people, corporations are now memeing? Do you want to see a meme from Pfizer? Press 1 if you want to see a meme from Pfizer. It's very interesting. Let me put it like that. Yes, the Pfizer Corporation made a meme. Oh, Dios mío. People don't want to see it. People don't. Christian Actis Pozzo doesn't want to see it. You know what? I don't care if you don't want to see it. It's Pfizer. You're going to get their product whether you want it or not, goddammit. Around strangers, you're in danger. Yeah, so it's from Pfizer, alright? Just like all of their products, you will get them regardless if you want them or not. So, tough shit. You can't escape the meme. The meme is this is a Pfizer Corporation. Alright? It gave this ability. So it doesn't care about your input. I mean, they're Pfizer. Why the fuck do they care what people think? Since when does Pfizer give a shit about what the world thinks? So you can't reply to the meme. And it's easy to get discredited by misinformation, wiggle finger these days, but don't worry, science has got your back. So science now has a personality. It's like a god. It's the science is the avatar. So you have like the human brain reaching for the wild conspiracy theories, but science is pulling the human brain back. And for some reason, the human brain is afraid, like it's going to get raped. I mean, this is what I'm seeing. It's like science is raping the human brain with its eyes. It's like, look into the human brain. I'm here, you tasty motherfucker. Oh, this is a very funny meme. Unfortunately, I don't know what people think about it because no one can reply. No one can reply to this. It's okay. You know what? Only science can reply. Did you guys smile? I thought that is a very entertaining meme. I want to share it around. I actually retweeted it. It's very funny. I laughed. It is very humorous. Who would know that a corporation can make jokes? You know what people think about it? Man, you know what? Like, I actually wanted for doing something which is probably the most dangerous thing you can do on the internet, which is real life live streaming. Real life live streaming, from what I know, like every single person that does it ends up in trouble with the cops. So just think about it, like people who went on the street to live stream. We got Ice Poseidon, he got in trouble with the cops. Mr. Worski, he got in trouble with the cops. AIM, what was it? Asian Andy, like all of the people that I know, like maybe there are others, but all of the ones that I know who did real life live streaming got in trouble with the cops. And so I decided, you know what? I should do real life live streaming, goddammit. And I felt like going in Romania and actually talking with people and then translating it, like putting subtitles and stuff. And I tried doing this with taxi drivers, with hairstylists, like people who have to talk with me, like they got no other choice because of the nature of their job. And I realized that every single conversation that I had with taxi drivers or hairstylists would be a violation of TOS. Every single goddamn time, with no exception. Either they would ask for violence against the powers that be, Either they were spreading misinformation that is harmful, or like, and these are average people that I'm talking about, right? Like every single time they would just say the craziest things, and I'm like, okay, I can't do that. Yeah, Dr. Disrespect, didn't he actually get into a bathroom where there was a little guy taking a tickle? To give props, it wasn't Dr. Disrespect was holding the camera. It was at the, what was it, the E3 convention? So Dr. Disrespect, he's videotaping the E3 convention, and then he goes into the bathroom. Now, he's not actually in the stalls, so just so you know, like, the progressives back then, they were defending some activists that hounded a Democrat lady, and they were like, no, it's fine, because, like, they didn't go into the stall with her. Yeah, the progressives back then weren't so open-minded. And they were like, no, if you go into the bathroom, and you're, like, actually in, like, you open the bathroom door, but you're not in the stall, no, that's still a problem, right? And I agree with them, right? Like, they had common sense back then. But Dr. Disrespect goes into the bathroom. The guy with the camera follows him. And to their horror, because you can see it on the Dr. Disrespect face, right? Like, he has a face of utter shock. Like, he is really dismayed of what he saw. I don't know the cameraman's face, but I assume, like, they were both in shock. Because to their right, as they're filming, there's a little kid with a Mario hat taking a tinkle, and now 20,000 people get to see that. That's big oops. That is a big oof. That is a yikes. That is a Jesus fucking Christ. Like, probably the FBI and the CIA looking at the Dr. Disrespect stream. They were having their jaws all the way to the ground. Like, everyone was going through the shock moments. And unlike the television, he couldn't go, alright, let's cut to the commercials. Let's see. I got a super chat from the Mentat. Where is the Mentat? Around strangers you're in danger. I read this super chat, Mentat. I already read that. And it's true. Yeah, that's what they should have said. That would have made the stream better if they would have cut to both of their faces and they look to each other concerned and they go, Mamma mia. Yeah. I am still live, Trey. I am still here. But you kind of missed all of the interesting news segments. Let's see. What else can we talk about? By the way, no one actually got what I was trying to say, alright? Like, this actually annoys me when I make a video and I'm trying to transmit a message, but people don't understand what I'm saying. So this guy points out that people who are intelligent are more likely to be depressed. And I'm saying, yeah, that's kind of true if you think about it. I mean, we don't have studies on it, but I think it is. And I'm explaining, look, when you were a kid, you're not as smart as you are today. Like, can we agree with this? Because when you're a kid, you're not as smart as an adult? Is this correct to say? Like, when you're 5, your brain isn't fully developed. What the fuck are you doing when you're 5? You're playing in the dirt with worms. You're building sand castles. You're playing childish games. And you're having the time of your life. Like, you're managing to entertain yourself with the most mundane things. Everything is funny to you as a kid. Would you have fun now building a sand castle? You know what? You probably would. I'm not going to lie. You probably would have fun building a sand. But would you have fun doing it for an entire day, and then the next day, and then the day after that, like when you're a kid, that you can do it constantly, like you play in the sandbox day after day after day after day? No, okay? Because you don't find that intellectual stimulating. It's not about, like a lot of people were saying, it's about like knowing things. It's like you think you know the thing. It's not about knowledge, all right? Like, here's another example. Maybe it is a little bit with knowledge. I take it back. Maybe it is a little bit. When you're a kid, and you hear the birds singing, and you're like, oh my god, what wonderful music they make. They sing, right? So it's innocent, it's pure. And then when you grow up, you realize that those little critters are screaming from their little lungs as hard as they can because they're either sexually frustrated, they're starving, or they're afraid, right? They're not singing. They're not singing. It's one of the three things. When you realize this, you never listen to the birds the same way again. So it's like what I'm trying to say, it's like it's a different thing. It's much more difficult to be entertained by the same things you used to. So maybe it's possible that people who aren't very smart, they get more dopamine from things because they get entertained a lot more easier. Like for them, they find... And by the way, like I'm listening to some of the jokes, and this is the only time that I probably am going to quote-unquote pick on the working class. Like I listen to some of the jokes that the builders who are still in my neighborhood because they're still building houses are making. I mean, there are some of the most cringy, boomerish jokes, and they're laughing at them and they're having a good time, and I'm thinking like, my God, is that funny? Truth be said, it's not that I have like a more uplifted sense of humor, but it's so difficult for me nowadays to laugh. Like, needs to be some really good jokes in order for me to laugh. And it's kind of sad. Like, I want to be like them. I want to be the type of person that can find humor and entertainment in the smallest things. Yet you're not reading Crime and Punishment to entertain yourself. You keep trying to entertain yourself with video games and stuff. But there are video games that are entertaining. I mean, Pathfinder, Wrath of the Exile. We need to play that shit. It's good stuff. Give me a new super chat. Alright, let me check it out. Remember when leftists were anti-war hippies? Oh my God. Do you know that the leftists that are anti-war, they're getting banned from Facebook? I mean, let's be honest. It's like leftism is about what it used to be. Get the fuck up. Here's something. By the way, let me see if I can find this actually. I probably won't be able to find it in time. But I'll tell you what, like, I'll save it for a new stream. Hold on. Give me a second. So it's about the ESG scores. Now, I'm probably sure that most of you know it's a woke score, right? So that's what ESG score means. E stands for environment, S stands for social issues, and G stands for governance. Like, for example, if the CEO takes a pay cut or something like that. But there was a map explaining what an ESG is. And under social, they actually said, think of Catholic values. So Catholic values meaning no guns, right? Like no violence, no drinking, no pornography, blah, blah, blah. And when you look at it, it's like, holy shit, it's like literally what the wokes are doing, but they're justifying it differently, right? So they're against, for example, sex for different reasons than the Catholics, but they're against sex nonetheless. They're against drugs. Sorry, not drugs. They're against guns, like the Catholics, but for entirely different reasons. Like literally, and they mention it as Catholic values. That's what baffled me, because I'll manage to find it. Again, this is from like making a woke score with literally like Catholic values in mind, and that's how they justify it to companies. Oh yeah, here we go. Ethics, sustainable investment principle with Catholic orientation. And there's more of that, right? So the woke score is being explained to people as Catholic values. I mean, at this point, I'm not really shocked about it, given how the Pope is behaving. And you notice that the Pope has the exact same talking points as CNN, except maybe on abortion. Oh, Tactical Droid, you may not have heard what the Pope is saying about gay people. So again, shut the fuck up. No, like the Pope is as progressive as possible nowadays. Like literally, the only issue that I could find that the Pope and CNN would disagree on has to be abortions. And the reason it has to be like that is that he would probably have a schism in the church if he changed his mind on the issue. Oh my god, like, tactical droid. Go look on Google, Pope and gays. Just find out what the Pope thinks about gays. Like, you're kind of old, man. You know, you're falling behind, old man. Is what I want to say. No, not really. Like, popes haven't been progressive forever. There was that Pope, what was his name? Like Benedict or something like that. That was actually anti-communist. And what he did was he trained the army of priests to have like anti-communist talking points. So you go to the church and the priest would be like an anti-social justice activist. And that was... what's wrong with gay people? Well, people think that religion is against the gays, but no, like Catholicism is not incompatible with gay people anymore. Catholicism and gay people is fine. They're not as it used to be. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not against it or anything. I'm just pointing out the obvious that when the Pope, the vicar, God's vicar on earth, as he is considered, is not homophobic, then you can't have what Tactical Droid is saying. It's like, oh well, you can't have Christian values and gay people. And yes, you can actually, as the Pope. My first buyer's remorse. Well, thank you, Omega Setsu. Very interesting avatar. These are just authoritarian edicts. Left and right are merely justification for being either authoritarian or populist. Yeah, it's more like globalism versus nationalism, to be honest, at this point. That's a good thing. Dude, I really don't care. Like, right now I care about the gas prices. That's literally the only thing that I care. A lot of people are like, why don't people in Eastern Europe care more about social issues like LGBT activism and whatnot? Because we're poor, alright? We don't give a fuck. Like, whatever happens with that, I don't care. Just focus on the things that matter. Lower my gas prices, goddammit, so I can heat the house during the winter. Now it's Islam's turn to get rid of homophobia. Man, I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, Islam is probably the religion that's the hardest to move when it comes to social issues. And I just don't see it. Nor do I see why they... I mean, there's not even pressure for them to change, right? Like, the international community isn't pressuring Muslim nations to change that much when it comes to social issues. So, I don't see them doing it. I mean, do you honestly think, like, in Saudi Arabia, where social change, like, only recently women were allowed to drive, you're going to see them becoming progressives? I mean, even the corporations that put the LGBT flag everywhere, they're still not raising it in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and other nations like that. I don't think the church is modernizing to not lose people. Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think the church... the church becoming woke, I don't think it has to do anything with not losing people, because there's other nations that have, like, the Orthodox Church, right? The Orthodox Church isn't modernizing shit, and it's not losing people. In fact, more people have been lost in the West, like in places like the UK, than you have people being lost in Eastern Europe with the Orthodox Church. Not if I have anything to say about it. There's a lot of internal pressure. I don't know. I mean, do you have companies that want to boycott Saudi Arabia or boycott Qatar? Do you have banks that want to stop doing business with these nations? It's not progressive to support the gay rights. Well, technically no. But in reality, if you look at LGBT activists now, they're openly saying that they're for socialism. Like, I don't think there's a single LGBT activist that's prominent that appears on newspapers and whatnot that isn't in favor of socialism. So, no, like, you're right. It's not about progressivism. But it's being heavily co-opted by progressives at this point. I mean, even... when you look at the new LGBT flag, let me give you an example. Right? So when you look at the new flag, I mean, it used to be rainbow colors and it used to stand for sexual orientations. Like this is your original one, right? No, not even this. Like this is the original one. And then they added the color brown and black to it. Like why would you do that? Like now it's not a sexual orientation. Oh, it's because of intersectionality. Okay, I see. And then you have like this, which is at this point like you have the Marxism coming in. And as you can see, like the more it is allowed to continue, the more the flag is being eroded. To the point where it's not even about what it used to be in the beginning. It's more about this. And honestly, like in this case, if you keep swiping right, you're only going to get a white. So yeah, I mean, this is why people in Eastern Europe, for example, are not allowing the what they call like Viktor Orban calls it LGBT propaganda. It's not because like of the gay rights that are being infringed, because I guarantee to you, like gay people are quite safe in Hungary. It's more to do with the fact that they're worried about the socialism co-option of the movement, and that you have activists which are openly socialist, and they even flat out say you can't be gay unless you're socialist. And then they intertwine all of the political issues and all of the other things from, like for example, oh, if you're gay, you need to be pro-choice. Oh, if you're gay, you need to be for BLM and all of that, right? Like it's the package deal. Like you can't just be, for gay marriage anymore. It's a brand deal. And I get it. I understand what you're saying, Abdi. It's not left or right. It's like a human rights issue, but it's co-opted. That's the main problem. It's like social justice warriors had sleeper cells infiltrated everything during Obama's first term, and they were all activated. It's to do with BlackRock. You're going to like my video tomorrow about it. I'm really curious if like the right wingers are ever going to get power again, given what we're seeing right now. It looks like it rips off the South African flag, yes. If Orban thought that he would legalize gay marriage, no questions asked. I actually know why he doesn't, because I actually spoke with a person who works with a legislator in Hungary, and their line of thinking is this: if they get gay marriage. Their line of thinking is like this. You get like a couple of activists who, for example, want something done. Like, for example, they want to stop the criminalizing of gay people, right? Like, everyone agrees with that. So in countries that you had socialism, like in Romania and Hungary, being gay was a crime. Like, if they caught you, you would go to prison. Unironically. So after communism fell, like, a lot of people are saying, hold on a little bit, this is fucked up, like, it shouldn't exist. So what they did is like, all right, well, let's push in order to have this decriminalized. And, you still have, like, a couple of old people and members of the previous party that are against it, like, they still want it to be criminalized. So people start doing activism, they donate money to the cause, and NGOs are formed, and they do the activism, and then they get what they want, right? But they realize, okay, well, now that we got what we wanted, we got a lot of money, like we got a lot of funding, and we want to keep our jobs, like we want to keep doing this because it's fun and we're actually doing it for a good cause. And then they do a next thing, and it's like, what's the next thing? Okay, gay marriage, let's do that. And yeah, again, they get money, they get support, they get politics, they get to stand on stadiums and do speeches, and they get paid for that by universities and whatnot. And then they get gay marriage, and it's like, okay, but now what, right? Because they got it, so they still want to keep their job. They still want to do that. Like, let's fight for, I don't know, trans rights. Okay. And then they do that, and they get trans rights. And like, okay, now what? It's like, okay, trans kids. And like, they keep having to push in order to find new things to fight for. And with it comes censorship, comes cracking down on human rights. For example, that they claim they're fighting for human rights, but they're against free speech. They're against freedom of association. They're okay, well, now you can't make jokes. Now the microaggressions and all the other bullshit that's coming. And now every corporation needs to have at least one of the representatives to make sure that the corporation isn't offensive and blah blah blah. I mean, you see it in the West, you know what it's like, right? So people here in Eastern Europe, like, we know that it's not a slippery slope. It's just like the logical movement of things, and they're like, okay, well, we don't want any of that shit here. The Hungarian government believes. So if we can just not give them something like where they're trying to fight now, if we can just hold it above them so that they can't reach it, they're not going to push for more of the nasty things, right? Like, they're not going to push for censorship. They're not going to push for corporations being forced to have a commissar in order to decide what is acceptable and what isn't. Like, you're not going to get a Netflix where you have a person that's incredibly popular and millions of people want to hear him and millions of people are thumbing him up, but because of a person that's hired at Netflix, they get to break into the office of the director and have a hissy fit and then try to do a walkout with all the other employees and decide to threaten to shut down production at a company if they decide to bring back Dave Chappelle again, right? I mean, it's where it's going if you keep giving in. So I don't know of another solution, right? I agree with you that the situation is fucked up, but I can't say that I don't really see their point. um Power overwhelmed their reach. I don't even know if it's about power. Like, it's, and by the way, just another thing. I actually know in Romania, gay rights activists who are straight. Like, they started off gay, and then they became straight, but they're still doing the activism for cynical reasons because they enjoy the fame in their little circle, right? Like, it's not fame as in internationally, no, but like the people around their circle respect them. They get to star in various publications, and they make money. They make money from donations. They make money from being able to attend the speeches. So now they're not gay. They're straight. They don't really care about the community, but they keep doing it for cynical reasons. Here in Ireland in 2015, we voted for gay marriage. Within 24 hours, big time LGBT activists involved in the marriage equality referendum were on Twitter saying it wasn't enough. Well, yeah, but they keep saying all across the board, social justice activists all across the board keep saying there is more work to be done. That is their chant. Because if ever the work is done, if they ever finish what they're doing, well, they would get no jobs. Like, think about it. Like, if your entire life for the last 5 or 10 years is to write blog posts and you're getting donations for that, and you go and you create rallies and you have like the crowd listening to you and all of that, if you actually succeed, if you actually do what the work is and you finish, you can't get money out of that. You need to find a different job. A lot of them don't want to. I mean, let me put it this way. Imagine going 4 years to be a gender studies graduate, right? And now you're fighting for women's equality or whatever. Okay, well, you spent 4 years of your life, you now have a student loan, and the only way you can monetize your existence is to become a blogger or something. At best, if you manage to become really famous, maybe you can give speeches at universities. Imagine if you actually managed to end sexism. Like, imagine if you actually managed to finish the work and, in your opinion, women and men are 100% equal. What do you do then? Like, you went 4 years and you did university, you now have student debt. Like, you can't allow the work to be done. It's kind of why religion doesn't have an end goal. Like, is to save the souls of the Christians. You will never reach a point where you saved all the souls. So there's always going to be a need for a clergy. There's always going to be a need for priests. Because if, like, the need for a priest is over, like, can you imagine? Like, I don't think the Pope would want to press a button where all the souls on planet Earth are saved. Because if that's the case, then there's no need for a Pope. Right? So every single religious person would be against that. Like, they want the system to continue because they love their job. Um, but it's literally the same with the piety warriors. Like you need to understand, like there used to be a time where you had the concerned citizens, which were right wing oriented. So whenever someone would curse in a commercial, they would write letters of complaint. Whenever someone would become well, higher up and they happen to be gay, they would write letters of complaint. I mean, you can Google it. Like there's plenty of cases and events of that happening in the United States, right? Like the U.S. has a history of cancel culture even before social media, and it was the same. Like those people were never happy with the state of piety in America. Like there was always more work to be done, and of course there's more work to be done. Like they make money by doing that. Why would they stop? You know, maybe it starts with legitimate concerns and legitimate grievances, and they're actually caring about whatever they're doing. But when money gets involved, you want to keep doing what you're doing. Like you don't want to stop. You gain experience at doing that. You will never reach a state of being sinless. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, religion is created so you don't reach a state of being sinless. Like, you will always need the church. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that when you have an ideology that you want to inflict upon people, whether it is religion or an atheistic ideology, there is no end goal. That's why, like, the revolution never ends. It's actually a saying in socialist nations. Like, the revolution never stops. It's because if the revolution would stop, well, then there would not be a need for the people in power anymore. You wouldn't need the activists in the party and the entire apparatus to persuade people. The end goal of Christianity is to survive Judgment Day. I suppose, yeah, in a way. Yeah, you're probably right. Let me see if I have anything else. I don't think I have any more news for you guys. Oh yeah, by the way, this is something that's incredibly wholesome. I don't know if it's true or not, but it is wholesome as fuck. So, 30-year-old boy uses his Make-A-Wish to feed the homeless for a year. That is the most wholesome stuff. You know, because every single kid is like, okay, you get the Make-A-Wish. And some kids, you know, they want to see a famous actor. Some kids, they want to go to Disneyland. Some kids, they want something in a video game. Like, there was this guy who... I believe he wanted the legendary bow in World of Warcraft. And then you have children who don't get their wish because they wanted Spider-Man painted over their grave. And Disney didn't allow it. I kind of see why. Still a dick move from the mouse. Ha! Imagine if you have like a graveyard with kids and they all have like Marvel icons and shit. But I think this is the only wish that I have seen where the kid actually wishes something from someone else. You still, you know, it's still a wish for yourself because charity is still like making you feel good that you're doing it. But honestly, like this is probably the most wholesome wish that I have ever seen anyone do. My Twitter handle is at not __ v. This is my Twitter handle. Do I think that living without sin is possible for a human? No, because the rules are made in such a way that it's absolutely impossible. I mean, okay, do not lie. I don't think you can live in a society without ever saying a lie. For example, imagine your boss comes and asks you like, how does her dress look? And you're like, it makes you look like a fat cow. Yeah, like you're not going to be able to say that to your boss. Do not steal. I mean, I don't think there is a single person that never stole a piece of paper or a pen or something when they were a kid or you know, like something without value, but you know, you need it and you're like, fuck it. And you take it anyway. I wonder, like, if it actually ever happened that a person never in their entire life took something that wasn't theirs. And I'm not talking about big things. Like you're not stealing thousands of dollars here, but I'm talking like even insignificant things. It's like, okay, you get a piece of paper and like, okay, perfect example. Perfect example. If you find money on the street, so let's say you find a $20 bill on the street, what you're supposed to do is to take it to the police station. How many of you actually took that money to the police station? Because I'm pretty sure like everyone in their life found money on the street. Now, of course, if you find $1 billion on the street, that's a different story. But I'm talking like you find just a $20 bill. It's not impossible because it's to keep the church's grift going. It's impossible because it's impossible. No, it's impossible for both reasons, I think. I mean, I don't know if it's actually planned to keep the grift going, but like, come on. Like, the idea that, for example, you're not supposed to get a boner when you see a hot woman on the street. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to prevent that? Like, that is completely out of your control. And even then, right, it's the idea of sinning in your mind. So you're not allowed to imagine the sin either. So for example, if someone pisses you off and you're imagining that you're punching him, okay, that's sinning with your mind, so that's still a sin. Like, get the fuck out. Yeah, it's absolutely, like, the rules are made to be absolutely impossible to be kept. See, the idea that there are different levels of sin, it depends on what Christian denomination you are. The evangelicals, like, believe sin is sin, which is kind of stupid because in their opinion, like, lying to someone and murdering someone is a sin, and it's just as bad. And I'm thinking, okay, but if that's the case, like, wouldn't murdering the person be a lot more sin? How should I put it? Not sin. It would be more like sin conserving, because if you murder a person, then you can't lie to them anymore. But if you lie to a person twice, you're sinning twice, right? So like I don't think that's the case. Like I disagree with the evangelical take on the idea that all sin is equal. There was a monk who never saw a woman before he died. Yeah, so there's this mountain Athos in Greece where you have a monastery with only male monks, and only men are allowed to visit that place. Now, I don't think they can't see women, because from what I know, they actually have internet access now. So I don't know how supervised the internet is, but I'm pretty sure they know how women look like. So the idea that there was a monk on the Mount Athos which never saw a woman in his entire life, yeah, I don't believe it. I mean, he must have seen pictures at least. It's next to impossible. But yeah, like seeing an actual woman in front of him, yeah, that I buy that. Yeah, he probably never did. Do you think you never done anything wrong in your entire life by your own moral philosophy? No, but I never broke I never broke the law, right? Like, I never broke the penal code. Even when doing petty theft, like if you steal a piece of paper in Romania, it's actually not illegal. There is a law which prohibits the prosecution of stealing anything. I think it's like less than $5 or so. So for example, if you steal a loaf of bread if you're hungry, that's actually not a crime. If you steal a pencil, that's not a crime. If you steal a paper, that's not a crime, right? So yeah, like technically, yes, I did live my life without breaking the penal code. I can wholeheartedly say that. But yeah, the penal code, it's important. Most people broke laws at least a little bit. Well, yeah, but if you break it a little bit, it's not so there's like in Romania you have like in the United States you have felony and then you have misdemeanors, right? So if you broke it a little bit, it's a misdemeanor. So that's not penal, that's administrative law, and you need to do like a really serious crime to be a penal code. Serial pencil stealer. What can I say? Like I was a bad boy in high school. I was a rebel. I was a punk. In Eastern Europe, you can't live without breaking any laws? Jesus, I must be weird then. Well, no, I'm talking about the penal code, Tactical Droid. The penal code, like, so to say it in Romania, contravenție versus infracțiune, right? It's different things. Smashing windows is actually not a criminal offense unless you do it to a public building. So if you do it on a private property, it's up to the person to sue you, and then it's still a civil offense. So smashing windows as a kid, yes, it was still not a crime. It wasn't like I mean, the building was empty, no one was using it, so. These were the threats, they were just foreshadowing violence, I see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching it. I appreciate the super chats and the donations. And yeah, I'll have more articles next time. Or hold on, I still have one. You know, the problem is, like, I have a lot of articles, but I usually get sidetracked with the chat because you guys are entertaining. But look at this, you know, this is actually art. I'm here to put out the fire. Why? Why was so urgent? It's a fire. There's fire all over the place. So this is an actual dialogue. Now, I guess the only difference is that he wasn't inside the fire, right? Like, he was outside and someone else was having his house burning down. And he's like, chastised, like, why did you go to put out the fire? By the way, like, someone told me, and I don't know if this is true, but apparently the mayor, the prosecutor, and the detective are from the same family, like they're blood related. That would be fascinating. And again, like, the prosecution is... Sorry, the leftists on Twitter, they're not upset with the fact that the government allowed for the riot to happen. Because that's the reality, right? Like, is the job, or as the prosecutor said, it's like, it's the 911's responsibility to put out a fire. Where the fuck were the 911? Right? So it's the mayor's fault that this should happen. But no, like, no one cares. It's something that I noticed. When it comes to criminals, all sorts of shades of gray are being allowed. Like, every single moral shade of gray is being charitable given. All the charitable interpretation. And heartless compassion. And for the victims, it's black and white. It's actually like the Gulag Archipelago, where the writer said if they would have caught a criminal with a knife, that would have been okay because the criminal didn't know any better, he wasn't educated. But if they caught you with a knife, you would have been accused of being a terrorist. And it's pretty much what we're seeing. Anyone wonder where they got the word infraction? The criminals used to say it in for a fraction, in for a whole number. I don't know where they got the word, but it's in my country as well. Probably something from Latin, I guess, maybe. Oh, they are related, yes. Small town, yeah. Sure. The Eastern European small town. Here's another thing, right? New freshman admission and enrollment. Students of color minus Asian. So Asians, as you can see, aren't of color anymore. I think Asians are like the Schrodinger people of color. When it's about Asian violence, they're people of color. When it's about education, they're not. And you get to see Asians being upset about this, and rightfully so. At least they can't be called white supremacists, so they have that advantage. Although they do consider, honestly, when they say white supremacy, they usually mean capitalism or American way of life. And they do consider South Korea and Japan to be white supremacist as well. Because they changed the definition of the word, right? Like, you're thinking about something else than what they're talking about. Uh, no succubus. I'll leave it on if you give me a super chat. I get to milk the succubus of money as well. I'm a bad person. Um, let me see what else we got. Yeah, this is something that I can talk about tomorrow. Puppies, cyber scam. Yeah. So, the mother of Kyle tried to start a GoFundMe for his defense. I just want people to understand that we think that even terrorists deserve to have a defense, right? Like, this is how our system is built. Like, no matter what you do, you should be able to have a defense. Now, just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to have a good defense. I mean, we're talking about a criminal case, right? Where there's video evidence and all of that, right? I mean, no one is upset that, at least in my country, and I think it's true for most countries. Like, I've never heard it's like, oh my god, this criminal, he got an expensive lawyer. That means that he's going to get off, goddammit, regardless of the evidence. Usually, by the way, like, usually lawyers that are renowned, they will not take cases that they know they're going to lose, because they're just putting it out there. And what Twitter did is probably one of the most despicable things that I have seen, and even if they would do it to a leftist, I would still be upset. They removed the retweet button of the mother of Kyle for trying to raise money for her defense fund. Just so you can know how scummy these people are. And I think that there's two reasons why they're doing it. Number one, because they bank on the fact that he will be found guilty. If he is found innocent, they can actually sue these companies. Because they treated him like he is guilty when he wasn't. And the second reason, I heard David Pakman say this, is that they view the Kyle case as an ideological case. They actually think that if Kyle walks away, the right will have a win. So they would rather, according to them, they believe that it's not about right or wrong. So even if Kyle is innocent, they would rather put an innocent kid in prison than to allow, quote unquote, the right to win. I'm fucking real, man. I mean, these people, they're evil. I don't know how to say it. They're absolute evil. And again, if a leftist would do that, like, think of the worst leftist that you can imagine, okay? And he is being accused. Okay, let's talk about the leftist who's accused of child molestation. And he goes to prison and he wants to get money to have a defense fund. I would probably not donate to him, but I wouldn't be against people raising money so he can defend himself with a lawyer. By all means, like, you have the right to have a lawyer. Even child molesters, yes, even those, even terrorists, everyone. Every single person, no exception, under any circumstance, every single person should have the right to have a lawyer. It's unthinkable that this is the level of discourse we're at. It's just... Yes, even Hitler, even Hitler should have the right, if he was caught and he would have gone to the Nuremberg trials, he would have had a lawyer. Everyone, every single person. Shut the fuck up, Tactical Droid. Yes, even leftists. This is one of the things that I'm not willing to budge. Yes, every single person, period. Under any circumstance, should this law never be changed. Every individual, as long as they're a human being, they should have a lawyer. You would not allow Vaj to have defense money. Well, in that case, I would consider you on the same level as Vosh. I would not want to live in a society where people aren't allowed to be defended. Because how would I know that Vosh is actually guilty of the shit that he's being convicted if he would ever be convicted of something? How can we view the concept of justice if the person isn't allowed to defend themselves? How can we say that, yes, justice was done? It is an attack on the exact concept of justice. Even in ancient societies, people were allowed to defend themselves. Yes, Pac-Man literally said this isn't good for us. They're media slaves. They literally can't think for themselves. Misogyny is wrong because that's treating men better than women. And Jesus, right, I can't read that. YouTube doesn't like it. I haven't seen that, Banks. It's not even like human rights. It's like, how can you believe in justice if the person isn't allowed to defend themselves? Like, how can you be sure that the person actually committed the crime? And if you don't believe in justice, then why follow any law? Well, what is the point in obeying the laws if justice doesn't exist? I'm sorry, I went to law school. I mean, this is just basic bitch. You lit like the foundation. You're attacking the foundation now if you're saying this. I mean, it's not about the extreme. This is not about politics. This is like the foundation of your house. You can't tear it down. I'm sorry. It should be. I mean, if you think a person is guilty, then it's irrelevant if they have a defense or not, right? Like the role of the lawyer is to represent the person, but lawyers aren't Jesus Christ. If you committed the crime, you committed the crime, right? Like if there's video evidence, if there's footage, there's nothing else that a lawyer can do. Just because like the idea that okay, if you have a lawyer, you're going to magically escape prison. No, it doesn't work like that. Now, of course, right? A lawyer helps, and without a lawyer, you may get a higher sentence. In some cases, a lawyer can get you off. That's true. But that's how our justice system works, you know. Like the idea to try and prevent someone from getting a defense is the most despicable thing you can do. I have absolutely no respect for these people. Regardless of their political leanings, regardless if they're on my side or not, this is the only line that I have drawn. Um, yeah, I mean it's in the Constitution, right? I mean it's literally the base, the basics. I mean, it's, whatever, you know. It's oh, Rocky Desert. Is it an epic fail? I don't know, Rocky. I don't think it's an epic fail. I was sued in Hollywood for being a Christian. Get the fuck out. I don't believe that. Well, what is Cardi B arrested for? I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's fascinating how like the media promotes these people and then it's like, oh yeah, they're getting arrested. It's like what? People are innocent until proven guilty. That's why the West is better than anything. Okay, I'm not saying that there aren't times where people are treated differently or it's unfair or whatever, but this is the standard that we need to uphold. Like it's the bare minimum. I'm sorry, like without this standard, I don't give a shit about your society. Like if this standard is gone, if people aren't allowed to defend themselves and you have kangaroo courts, I don't give a single fuck about the society you created. Like I'm going to actively work in order to protest or undermine it in any way I can. It's not a place that I want to live in. She allegedly hired men to beat up a stripper that was sleeping with her boyfriend. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, even Cardi B deserves legal representation. Like, even she should have access to a lawyer. It's not about my integrity, tactical droid. It's about, like, being uncomfortable and living in such a society. Even communists would allow people to get lawyers. I mean, it was a kangaroo trial, but the concept that you could get a lawyer was still there. Oftentimes the lawyer would try to accuse you as well, but again, like the idea that you could get a lawyer was still there. Like no one in communism was upset that oh my god, like this guy is getting money from his people, from his family to buy a lawyer or something. Anyway, Ram, thank you for watching this. Thank you for the donations, and I'll see you guys